Greetings once again, TMOT Drive Time. Today's message is house nigger versus field nigger. The things that I'm talking about are the social diseases that destroy the black community, that no one is willing to address because we're too concerned about what we feel someone else owes us, and it's time out for that. I began to have a conversation with a brother and a sister. And the way it went with the sister, we were talking about why she was voting for Obama. And she began to say, well, I'm voting for Obama because I'm unemployed and I'm part of the middle class, and he's going to ensure that I have health care for my children. And that's why I'm voting for Obama. Well, I immediately decided that it was time for me to end that conversation. Next, the reason and purpose for this drive time. The brother came up to me after he had overheard me having several other conversations, and he said, man, I'm gonna tell you something. I don't think I'm ever gonna get married. And I said, why not? And he said, man, I'm gonna marry me a white woman instead because I can't deal with these sisters. And then I said, you know what? You probably don't have internet access, but if you did, I'd point you to one of the drive times that I did called 10 Reasons Not to Marry a Sister. If you find a sister and you can eliminate those 10 reasons, there's no reason for you not to marry a sister. And then moving right along, he said, well, man, it's hard when you dark skinned. You know, if I had light skin, you know, it'd be all right. And then that's when my countenance just failed. And let me explain to you why. You see, when I was a kid growing up, I had a friend named Giovanni. And Giovanni had wavy curly hair, light skin. Of course me, I'm a real Nubian brother. Sweet as chocolate, baby. And dark as the night. Whenever we go around, the big girls, you know, they'd all gather around. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. Look at his hair. And oh, he's such a good looker. He's gonna be fine when he grows up. Well, guess what, folks? They weren't talking about me. And I kind of began to feel a little inferior. I even had two aunts. I'd hear them talk, well, I don't want nothing if it ain't light skin. I don't deal with dark skinned brothers. All in the presence of their little dark skinned nephew. So yeah, I felt a little inferior. I felt like that I was born damaged because of the color of my skin and the fact that my hair was kinky. Well, my father instilled some pride in me. 5'9", dark, and smart as all outdoors. And he told me, God made all children beautiful, and you are beautiful. And those ignoramuses that feel that having someone light skinned is better, just ignore them. Just grow up to be as smart as you can, and you'll have plenty of women that will find you attractive and desirous. That being said, I've always been proud of who I am. Now, how do we hurt ourselves and our own? You've heard me talk about always wanting to emulate others. Well, how we view ourselves is also a part of wanting to emulate others. Let me give you some more examples of this social disease. When brothers come to me and say, yeah, man, I met this sister, she was fine, and she was a red bone. Well, I immediately have to check that brother, and I say, oh, is that added value? And they'll look at me, what do you mean? Well, you say she was a red bone. I just want to know, do you get an extra 200 points because she's light skinned? And they look a little incredulous and unresponsive because they don't understand where I'm coming from. And then I break it down to them. I say, brother, if it had been a dark skinned sister, you wouldn't have even made mention of the fact that she was dark skinned. But because you went and met a red bone, you feel that that's added value. You screwed up in your own mind. You're one of those brothers that think that the lighter you are, the more value a person is. You're messed up because of the social disease that whites kind of instilled in us back in the old days, and now we perpetuate that same mindset in our children. in our friends and relationships with others. A woman is a woman. Love her for who she is. And we got the same problem with the sisters. And I know if you are black and listening to this, you have seen this and you know what I'm talking about is true. It is a social disease in the black community and it makes me sick. Black men, when they make it, and I can name a few, the O.J. Simpsons, and the list goes on and on and on and on. As soon as they make it to the big time, if they don't go and find them a white woman, they find themselves a high yellow black woman. And what they don't realize that they're doing subconsciously is that they are saying, hey, I got money and I got either a white woman or a woman that damn near looks like a white woman. I have made it. White man, I am just as good as you. And they don't even know why they do it. And I know a lot of you will probably think that I'm crazy, but let me explain a few things to you. I've always said, examine why it is you do what you do. Men who walk around with their pants hanging off their ass. They don't understand that that came out of prison, emulating something negative. Why women straighten their hair. And I'm not mad about it, but most of them think that they do it because it's easier to manage their hair. But that came out of trying to be white-like. The brothers with the processes came out with trying to be white-like, the Nat King Coles and like. I'm not trying to knock those brothers. I'm just telling you this is why the people did the things that they did. So if you start to understand why you do what you do, then maybe you'll be able to hear my words and do something to change and stop thinking that I'm trying to criticize. I'm trying to help set you free. Remember, the truth shall make you free because you weren't born a slave. You were born free in your mind, but when you get into these negative behaviors, you enter into bondage out of ignorance. One last thing, and I'm going to close. Look around you in society. When white folks get money, they don't go and hook up with no black person. How many people of notoriety in the white community do you know of that make it big or have it big, and the first thing they do is go and marry a black person? You just don't see it that often. We have to stop making differences within our own race when it comes to issues of skin color and the texture of our hair. We need to start making differences based on whether or not a brother or sister has a proper grasp of the English language, on issues such as education, whether or not a brother or sister graduated from school. We need to start making differences in our own race, not on hair texture or skin color, but based on whether or not an individual has a whole bunch of illegitimate children that they aren't taking care of. If you're going to judge somebody, judge them based on those things, like Martin Luther King said. And he was saying this to white folks, but I think black folks missed the message. Judge me by the content of my character and not the color of my skin. Black people, you slay me. And what I witnessed in that line brings me to tears. Young black man thinking that he can't find a good woman because he's dark skinned. It ought to make you sick. TMOT, drive time.